All right, everybody. I will be calling the 8th meeting of the Community and Protective Services Committee to order. I'd like to welcome everybody in council chambers online, and staff here in chambers. And just read the council chambers section. Please check the city website for additional meeting detail information. City of London is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Wauk, and Attawandaron. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. City of London is currently home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit today. As representatives of the people of the City of London, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. The City of London is committed to making every effort to provide alternate formats and communication supports for meetings upon request. To make a request specific to this meeting, please contact cpsc@london.ca or call 519-661-2489, extension 2425. I'd like to greet members of committee in chambers. I have Councillor Peter Cuddy, Ward 3, to my right. Councillor Hadley McAllister, Ward 1, to my right. Councillor Jerry Pribble, Ward 5, to my right. And that's everybody online? Okay, and I will also recognize visiting members, Councillor Stevenson, Ward 4, to my right. And online, I have Councillors Rahman, the Deputy Mayor Lewis, and Councillor Hillier online. So first, I will look for any disclosures of interest. I see none. Okay, we'll be moving on to consent items. I have one item to be pulled. That's 2.2 for the whole of community system response Q1 2025 quarterly report. I haven't been made aware of any other items to be pulled from that, so I'll look to committee for any other items to be pulled. Okay, I have none. All right, looking for a motion for items 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. Okay, moved by Councillor Cuddy, seconded by Councillor McAllister. Before we go to a speaker's list, I would like to go to Mr. Falberg to give us some comments on item 2.4, program changes to the Ontario Renovates program. So I'm going to go to Mr. Falberg first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is actually a really, really wonderful program that we operate. What it effectively does is allows low-income homeowners to remain in their home when there are issues in their house that they can't typically deal with. It's funded through some grants from the provincial government called OPHI, OPHI, and for the 2025 iteration of the program, we'll be using our own funds in order to get it started and off the ground. What we are doing, we are waiting for the province to make an announcement on the OPHI and COCHI dollars for 2025 through 2027. Once those occur, we'll transfer those commitments that we've made with our own funds into that program. If that funding doesn't come through for the 25 to 27 period, it's likely the last year that we'll be operating the program until the province comes forward with additional funds. The report before you today, though, what it is doing is it is simplifying the process for us and making it a little easier for staff to administer the programs and different projects. We're increasing the grant or the forgivable loan from $15,000 to $25,000 per household. And we're also increasing the total budget from $200,000 to $500,000 in order to facilitate that increase in the grant. At the end of the day, some folks, staff will tell stories about folks who've called them crying, talking about how wonderful it is that they get to stay in their houses, that they get to repair that toilet or that roof or whatever it is that's causing an issue for them. So it really is a wonderful program, and we're looking forward to continuing it this year.
Thank you, Mr. Falberg. All right, looking to committee for any comments or questions on 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. Councillor McAllister.
Thank you. Through the chair to staff. I'm curious with 2.5. I know we received an email from the St. Vincent project, and I'm just wondering if staff can provide an update, if that's something that can be handled today or if that's something that we need to deal with from now until council.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Falberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So I've reached out to the same folks that council received an email from. We haven't heard anything from them on what their concerns are with their contribution agreement. What I will say is the contribution agreement for you today is very similar to the ones that we have for Vision Soho, the ones that were approved for the Dollars to Doors CIP and the highly supportive housing CIPs earlier this year. So it really does lock in our funding and our commitment to support these properties going forward. There aren't, if there were any significant changes outside of the 80% AMR that we require for the depth of affordability, the period 25 years, or even that folks are coming off the wait list, that's something that we'd bring back to council for discussion and consideration. Any of the specific details you have through this report, we are asking for delegated authority to be able to go and negotiate with those folks and address minor details around that, and we can do that effectively even after council, once, assuming council approves the agreements today, or in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Feldberg. Councillor.
Thank you, and through you, just as a follow-up to that, I know you obviously delegated authority for the minor changes, but in terms of anything major, would that come back to committee first?
Mr. Feldberg.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, absolutely it would.
Councillor.
Through you, thank you for the answers.
Thank you. I have Councillor McAllister next, or sorry, Councillor Pribble next, and then I'll go to Councillor Trussell.
Thank you, and through the chair to the staff on 2.1. By the way, thank you to the staff. All three rationales are absolutely fantastic. Glad to hear that. I read somewhere in the report that the current ones will be incorporated into this one agreement. Are we going to be waiting till they expire and then implement them into the new one, or is it going to be transitioned immediately?
Thank you, Councillor. I'll go back to staff.
Thank you, and through the chair. As soon as the agreement is approved, we will transition all operators who currently hold an agreement with us to the new one.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you very much. No more question on 2.1. And right now we're on 2.5. And I know, Mr. Feldberg, you mentioned, so you answered one question that is very similar to the other agreement, such as Soho. And then we are giving the power to the, sorry, I'm just going to the, sorry, give me a quick second. We authorize the Deputy City Manager, Housing and Community Growth, or their written as designate to approve amendments to the contribution agreement, which I'm glad to see that, so we don't slow things down. And besides the 80%, what you have already mentioned, what would be kind of the consideration that would be coming back to the standing committee? What would be kind of the difference from the minor or major, if I can call it that way?
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Feldberg.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So things like the period of the agreement, though currently we're looking for a 25-year commitment from the proponents. Could be things such as whether tenants come off the wait list or not. Very, very big picture sort of things that have been identified in the Roadmap 2.0 report from July of last year. Those would be the types of things. Minor things like finalizing the tenant placement agreement with the proponent. Could be other minor legal changes that may be required, or if there's something that we need to identify that's been worked with our legal counsel or their legal counsel, something like that, we would address on our own.
Thank you, Councillor.
Perfect, thank you for that answer. So if any one of these organizations who are listed in front of us, if they had if they had any questions or potentially concerns or a question, it would be the best to, of course, to address you, our staff, with these questions so we can move forward as fast as we can, correct?
Mr. Feldberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Absolutely. If you're getting any questions from any of the folks on this, identified in this report, please have them reach out to myself or one of my staff, and we'll, as quickly as we can, we'll meet and discuss what those issues are, and we'll try to come to resolution.
Thank you, Councillor.
Perfect, thank you for that answer. And last one, even though you mentioned about 2.4, and I don't know if I missed it in the report, but before we did this increase on the Renovates program, did we calculate kind of in the past what actually, if we added all the applications, how much how much funds we would need to satisfy all the needs of the previous applications?
Mr. Alberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Not specifically for all the past years of the program. What we are hearing is the complexity of issues that are occurring out there on some of the properties are increasing. You've seen increases in construction costs and whatnot around the sector, so we felt it was reasonable. If that is something council's interested in, we can go back and do an analysis and we can bring that back to council, maybe even before council in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. If it is feasible, I would love to see that amount. That would be great. Thank you very much. No more questions on consent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I got Councillor Trosso next, so please go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. First of all, I'm sorry I was a few minutes late. You certainly got the meeting started on time today. I know, which is very nice. Was 2.5 pulled? Well, I'd like to pull 2.5. Or as long as we're discussing it now, maybe I'll just ask my question. I haven't heard the concern, the particular concern that these applicants were raising addressed. And if it's because I was late and I missed that in the 2 minutes, I'm sorry. But could you just fill me in on what their concerns were and how you're addressing them?
Thank you, Councillor. Before I go to staff, we can pull that item if you have a motion or anything like that, but we would have to amend the original motion. So just if you're okay with going forward with the keeping as consent, or if you would like to pull it, we can go through that process.
It depends on the answer to the question that I just asked.
Thank you, Councillor. So just conferring with staff, if you were to have a motion or anything like that, we would have to pull it now before your questions with staff.
Well, I'm sorry I have to do this because I really want this to move forward expeditiously, but I am concerned about the communication that we received. And if somebody would like to enlighten me as to why I should not be concerned about it, I'd be thrilled to hear it. But for now, then, I suppose I'll pull it.
Okay, just give us a second. Okay, Councillor, just spoke with staff, so I can look to committee to see at the consensus of the committee if we were to withdraw the original motion to move those consent items, and then we can re-motion to have the consent items with the exception of 2.5 as well as 2.2. So I'm just going to canvass committee to see, just to speed things along. Are you okay with us redoing the consent item motion? I have Councillor McAllister.
Yeah, just a point of clarification, and through you, I'm just wondering, because both Councillor Perillo and I asked the questions, are these major or minor? Is this delegated authority, or are these things that do actually have to come to us for changes? So I think that depends, like the answer to that depends on whether we have to change anything.
Okay, so the motion right now is on the floor. So I'm just going to ask committee to move a motion to, if someone can move a motion and second the motion, to withdraw the original motion for the consents, and then we're going to remove the motion with that item pulled. So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder, please. Okay, moved by Councillor Trosso. Anybody want a second? I'll second that. All right, let's vote on that.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 3-2.
Okay, thank you, committee. And I would look for a mover and a seconder to move 2.1, 2.3, and 2.4. Moved by Councillor Cuddy, seconded by? I will second that. Okay, let's vote on that. Or sorry, discussion first. Councillor Trosso, you can continue. Councillor, we don't need to vote on it at the moment. We have them on the floor, so you can speak to the item. 2.5 has been withdrawn, so we are pulled, so we can speak to that on items for direction. So you can continue if you have any other questions or comments on the items on the floor.
Yes, I would like a more precise answer as to what the concern is. I don't want to approve this. I'm really worried about approving this and finding out that there's a
Counselor?
clause in there.
Is this 2.5 that you're speaking to?
Yes, it is,
Okay,
and this is
we
through the
pulled-
chair.
We pulled it, so it's going to be on items for direction, so we're no longer speaking to that on the floor. Okay, I have Councillor Stevenson next. Councillor, please go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question on 2.4. It was just mentioned that we'd be using our own funds for the additional 300,000, so I just wanted clarity on that, whether that was, what exactly that meant. And also, I noticed that Hamilton has a income cap of 60,000 and Waterloo details it out by person. A one person is close to 40,000, two person 50,000, three person 60,000. The $90,000 a year income level doesn't seem very low income to some people. So I just wondered what's our thought in terms of setting it at that amount?
Thank you, Councillor. I'll go to Mr. Falberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. I'll answer the first part about the financing, then Ms. Espinoza can talk about some of the program details. As far as where we're funding it from, we within our budget we have, and within our OFI and COCHI allotments, there is an administrative funding component that we're allotted as under that program. So we'll be using that at least to start the Ontario Renovates program in the short term, until such time as we receive the OFI COCHI funds from the province. If those funds aren't provided by the province later this year, then we have enough funds within our administrative account to be able to cover the 500,000 for 2025, at which point that would be the last year of the program until such time as the province comes forward with additional funding. As to the program design, Ms. Espinoza can support that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the program guidelines are set by the provincial government, and it's set with the 60th percentile within the service manager area. So Hamilton could be a bit different than London. So this is the maximum amount under the provincial guidelines.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you. And is there some, is that the maximum that we could use, but we could choose lower, or is it that has to be the amount?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's the maximum amount. So we could choose a lowered amount if we wanted to.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess it's interesting looking at the program. Again, when I looked at some other cities, they said that it had to be sort of like to keep a house up to standard. You know, there was fire safety concerns or some sort of very serious livability concerns in terms of the housing. And ours seems to be more broad or general than that. Is there, can you give us an idea of what kinds of repairs are coming through?
Thank you. I'll go back to Ms. Espinoza.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it could be anything from a roof, it could be a combination of roofs or mold remediation, or it could be bathrooms. So that's why the increase in the amount, because $15,000 isn't enough to service the needs in one household at this point. But I would say probably the most common might be a roof, windows, anything from grab bars, looking at accessibility modifications are the typical repairs that we're looking at through the program.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. I'm struggling with this one because although I like the idea of it, and I do believe there are people who struggle to be able to stay in their homes, an income level for a senior or a person, a family, like or even a person, $90,000 a year is a pretty substantial income. And if it's windows or roof, I prefer the model in some of the other cities where it's like somebody's foundation is, like they're at risk of having to leave their home if it's not fixed. So I'm gonna look into this more between now and council, but I'm not likely to support it if it stays like this.
Thank you, Counselor. Looking to members of committee for any further questions or comments, or visiting members online. Counselor Cuddy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I'm going to refer to 2.3. And I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to thank staff for the great work on this file. And it's you know, I'm a meat and potatoes guy, Chair. And so doing something for my constituents is really important, and this was really important. And I don't think Mr. McCray is here unless he's online. But I want to thank Mr. McCray. I want to thank the staff for listening to me, for listening to my constituents for the past 6 months, 8 months, that we have a problem out there and we've rectified it. And when people come to me, when my constituents come to me, or anyone in the city comes to me and says, you know, the city doesn't listen to me, this is a pure illustration where the city does listen and does act. And Chair, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the effort and the time and the energy that staff have put on this. And it's a good fix.
Thank you, Counselor. I have Counselor Rahman next. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just turning on my video. Thanks so much. Similar to Councillor Cuddy, I was commenting on 2.3 with similar sentiment. In my ward around St. Andre Bessette Catholic Secondary School, we've had some challenges around parking. We've had challenges around getting vehicles into, city vehicles, garbage trucks, and that into some of these streets during the winter when cars were parked on both sides. And so this is in response to some of those issues around the excessive parking around this particular high school. And then you'll see some stop sign changes in and around Plane Tree Park and around St. Catherine of Siena. So thanks again to staff for quickly addressing these issues. I know the residents will be really happy to see these signs go up. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. Just one last look at Counselor Stevenson. You have 2 minutes and 56 seconds left, please.
Thank you. Just a couple of follow-ups. I'm still thinking about some of the things that were said there. Would it be easy or possible, do you guys keep a report of sort of what the income level was and what the repairs were so that we could see where that money is going?
Thank you. I will go to Ms. Espinoza.
Through the chair, we could certainly grab that information. I would say $95,000 for a household income is probably rare compared to what we would be seeing, because the general population tends to be seniors and they've been living in their home for quite some time.
Thank you, Counselor.
Perfect. Yeah, if that could come to council before council, that would really help. And I also wondered what the opportunity cost was on that $500,000 if we were to need to spend it out of the administrative account. What would that funding normally go to?
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Calvert.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So it is a portion of the OFI and COCHI funding that's provided by the province, and it's something that they provide all service managers across the province. They give them funds in order to support different things related to the operations. It could be things such as this program, but it could also be funding something like a building condition assessment for social housing or some other program related to some of our service manager requirements.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Counselor. Okay, one last look. Anybody online? Okay, I'm going to make a comment. I'm going to have to follow suit with Counselor Cuddy and Counselor Rahman. I have an item on the amendments to the traffic and parking bylaw as well. That's the four-way stop at Piccadilly and William. exactly to the sentiments of what Councillor Cuddy was saying. This is what my neighborhood residents in the area have been asking for, and we have provided. So I know they're going to be quite excited about that, and I'm very grateful. So I do want to thank staff as much as I can, and I will thank you after this meeting as well, because this is something that the neighborhood has been asking for quite often. So just one question for me from the chair's seat. When would we expect that four-way stop to be installed at William and Piccadilly?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, I'm having a little trouble turning my video on, but hopefully you can hear me correct as well enough.
We can, Ms. Chair, thank you.
Thank you so much. We would expect to be able to put the signs in place about 6 to 8 weeks after approval from City Council. We need a little bit of time to do locates and get everything laid out properly and make sure we have the materials, but we should be in the next couple of months.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chair. Okay, Councillor Stevenson, you have 2 minutes and 22 seconds. I'll go back to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Now it's on this traffic and parking bylaw. I'm just wondering how often this comes forward, or given the prevalent, like I get tons of requests for this, right, all across my ward, and as great as it is to see these, sort of what about the rest of the city? So as everyone's thanking for these areas, I'm just wondering what we can say to the rest of the city.
I will go to Ms. Scheer.
Thank you, and I remain a disembodied voice. So we have a number of things we are able to approve administratively, and those things can be done subject to the completion of a warrant. There are other things that require council approval, and this report comes forward regularly when there are changes requiring council approval. So if there's a matter that you'd like us to review, and always stop, a parking change, those can be sent into my team. We will do the appropriate field work, advise you of the results, and if it requires a council approval, it will come to this committee at that time.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, last call for questions, comments? Online? Okay, let's call the question.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you, committee. Next is schedule items. We have none. And after that would be items for direction. We have 3 items. We have 1 communication from Councillors Frank and Pribble for request to report back on quick communities, and then the pulled items 2.2 and 2.5. So I will go to Councillor Pribble first for any potential motions that he'd like to put on the floor. Please go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, and through the chair to the staff, thank you. I did receive a detailed response, proposal, and suggestions earlier today, and thank you for that. And I don't have any more questions, comments right now, and I will proceed as it was suggested. Thank you very much.
So, Councillor, you're not moving any motions or anything like that for 4.1?
No, nothing at the moment. And again, it would be lengthy if I were to read a word from word, and I'll be more than happy to share with. But again, the staff suggested meaningful recommendation that suggests how to move forward, which makes sense to me. And I will discuss actually with my colleagues, with you, and we'll move forward with it. So currently, there's no need to make any motions currently. No.
Okay, I need a motion to receive then. By Councillor Cuddy, seconded. Councillor McAllister, before we go on.
I wanted to put forward the motion that was put in, that the Civic Administration be directed to prepare a report summarizing their research, stakeholder feedback, and proposed next steps to quick communities for a presentation at the Community and Protective Services Committee on May 20th, 2025. So that's the one I want to move.
Okay, I need a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Pribble. Okay, this is on the floor. Looking for comments or questions. Councillor McAllister.
Thank you. Through the chair. In terms of some of the suggestions that might come forward, I know there was some funding through CMHC in terms of modular housing that they had put on the table. I'm not sure with the report and the presentation that comes back, are we going to be looking at funding streams, other opportunities to engage with higher levels of government in terms of what could be presented as a possible project and the funding to go along with it?
Thank you, Mr. Mathers.
Through the chair, so any of those funding sources will be looking through our normal affordable housing lens, and these will be some options that we look at moving forward, especially when we're working with those external partners, looking at different opportunities. So that isn't necessarily specific just to Quick Communities. It could be very much linked to a lot of the work that we're doing, but it will be coming through our affordable housing program moving forward.
Thank you. Councilor McAllister.
Thank you, and through you. And I just want to confirm, so would it be looking at opportunities for existing projects and perhaps speeding up construction if there were opportunities to do, say, modular, for instance, or are we looking at entirely new projects that would be starting from scratch, or both potentially?
Thank you, Mr. Mathers.
Through the chair, so we have actually done some modular projects in the past, and we look forward to doing that in the future. So that could be existing projects that we're working at, doing it in a form that's more modular in fashion, or those future projects that we're bringing forward as far as our affordable housing program. So as you'll see at PEC tomorrow, we've done a lot of work at looking at lands that are available too. So those could be opportunities that we use on those lands.
Thank you. Councilor McAllister.
Thank you, and through you. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for options with this report to come back. I did have the opportunity to go to the Affordable Housing Summit that was recently held, and the thing that really struck me was on average it's taking between 4 and 5 years for the projects to get completed. So for me, speed is a key component, and if we can embrace modular, get things built faster, I'm really looking for every opportunity to do so. So look forward to this report coming back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I have the Deputy Mayor next. I don't see any members of committee looking to make any comments, so I'm going to go to the Deputy Mayor next. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I'm just going to share, I won't be supporting this motion when it comes to council. And I'm going to be blunt. I don't want staff spending time writing us a report summary for us when we actually have projects that can be moved forward. And I think that there's a lot of work. And I heard Councillor Pribble say he talked to staff, and he was one of the signatories of this, and that he didn't need a motion at the moment because he's talking with staff. You know, I had discussions with our planning staff a week ago about a modular construction project that's coming in Ward 2 that had a couple of hiccups that staff were very quickly able to assist and make sure that things can be on track there. So I don't need a report back. There's lots of different things that are going on, even in regard to, you know, the length of time on some things. I know it was a pleasure to hear from Mr. Frisia at the Humane Society opening on the weekend that the first occupants at the Vision Soho redevelopment at South Street Hospital will be starting to move into the first building in a matter of just a few weeks' time. I think we're doing a lot of unique things, but the more ingredients we throw into the recipe right now, I think the more likely it is that cake falls flat. And so I want staff focused on the work that they have ahead of them around housing, and not just Quick Communities, but all sorts of and all types of housing, high density residential, you know, medium and low density residential as well. There's a ton of different options. I think as ward councillors, we should be talking to staff about opportunities we see within our own wards and find ways to work with partners who maybe can bring things forward. I don't think that a staff report is going to assist, but what it is going to do is take up staff time that can be focused on other projects and needs, including the work that they need to do around the urban growth boundary assessment, so that we've got land available this year or in the future for housing to happen. You know, there's a large amount of information in the PEC report about places where we can get foundations in the ground this year and sped up and get our Ontario Builds dollars flowing back to us. So I don't think that this is to me, and I say this respectfully to the councillors, I feel like this is a make work project for staff to come back to us with a report when there's already a lot of good things that they're doing, making this happen. So I won't be supporting this.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I have Councillor Trusso next. Please go ahead.
Well, through the chair and to the staff, I think this would be a very useful report to get. And I don't think it's make work. And to be told that I, as a ward councillor, can approach staff to talk about projects in my ward overlooks the very important fact that we councillors represent the entire city. And we councillors are trying to uphold a strategic plan, and we councillors are trying to move forward on a variety of different projects. So be told to be told that this is make work, quite frankly, I think is a little, well, I don't want to get into a long point of privilege, so I'll just say I'm going to support the amendment, and I thank Councillor Pribble. I thank Councillor Pribble and Councillor Frank for coming forward with this. I thank Councillor McAllister for making clear we need a staff report. And I, as a ward councillor who is interested in the entire city, will be looking forward to reading that staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I have Councillor Pribble next. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment. I don't underestimate it. I think it is really very important. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more when we go to the other point that was pulled out. But as I received the information today, I really need to kind of, I guess the best word is to digest it, to think about it. And also there was a suggestion from the staff that came forward. So I do think this is very important. This is very crucial for us to move forward as an initiative to address some of these issues. But as I said, I don't want this to sound that as I'm kind of letting it go. No, not at all. But as I said, I have to digest it first, talk to my colleagues and talk to the staff. Thank you. And I certainly hope to have the answers before the council.
Thank you. Just before I go to the next speaker, I got Stevenson next and McAllister next. So please go ahead, Councillor Stevenson. You have full time. Go ahead.
Thanks. I just want to say that I'm not sure what was sent to Councillor Pribble via email, but I've said on a few other things, I would love as a councillor to receive briefing notes, to know what is going on without us having to ask for a staff report. I don't think the public knows that we only get the publicly available information 24 hours in advance. And, when there's information out there that would assist us in making decisions, I would love to have it circulated.
Thank you, Councillor. And I have Councillor McAllister. Please go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, kind of echoing the previous two speakers. I mean, this is something I get asked about a lot in terms of, the speed of our projects, but also where is this information and, how can I find it? I think it's on us to request this information. I don't view it as a make work project because it's something that I've personally had requests for. So I think that there's value in this. I think to Councillor Stevenson's point, the public do want to see these things. And I think having a report, a presentation on May 20th, I think that will be very valuable in terms of the public understanding what we're looking at.
Thank you, Councillor. I have no one else on the speakers list, so I'm just going to say, Councillor Cuddy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. I won't repeat what Deputy Mayor said, but one of the points he did make was that staff are fully occupied with a lot of projects on the go, and I don't think we need to add to that list at the moment, so I won't be supporting this thing.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay. Give me one last call for members of the committee. Councillor Trusso, you have 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Please go ahead.
I'm wondering through the chair, could we get a staff report on when it's appropriate to ask for a staff report and what your capacity to generate staff reports is? Because I think all the members of this council should be considered equals in terms of their ability to request staff reports. And if there's something I'm missing, I'd like to be corrected. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor, I'll go to staff for that question about staff reports for staff reports. Ms. Daterspear.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the members of the committee. We generally take our direction from council when we have a direction in terms of a resolution. I can appreciate the comments being made by members of committee where we have councillors who reach out to us directly for questions or answers, either in advance of a committee meeting or in advance or outside of that process. Our general principle is to respond to those members directly. Having said that, we could open another ability to allow any answer that we give to council members to be shared with all council members. I'm not asking to do that. I think I'm hearing that though at this table, so happy to get direction and advice about that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Daterspear. I'll go back to Councillor Trusso with we need to keep to the item that we have here. So please go ahead.
I've said what I have to say. I'm in favor of getting the staff report, and I wasn't really looking for an answer to that question, and I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay. Members of the committee? Visiting members? Okay, let's call the question for the 4.1.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 4-1.
This next one is a motion that I put, so I would like to hand over the chair to my vice chair. Councillor?
Okay, just to confirm, we're 2.2? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, recognizing I have the chair and we are on item 2.2, and I'll start a speakers list. Did you want to go first? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Ferreira.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. So I have brought this motion to committee, and it's in support of replacing the whole of community system response quarterly reporting with a real-time public-facing homelessness data dashboard that would be accessible by the public and by council ad hoc. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm looking to improve public understanding because I do believe that the quarterly reports really kind of provide a static snapshot and they don't really necessarily outline the flows or the dynamics that we really see.
Councillor, do you want to put your motion on the floor first?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. That is correct. I should do that. Let me put that motion down. I've circulated it, but I can read it out. Let me know if you need me to read it.
Yeah, if you'd like to go ahead and read it, and then we can have discussion. I would read it, and then I'll go back to you for discussion.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, for keeping me on track and in check. So here's the two motions. They work as one. It is that Civic Administration be directed to discontinue the whole of community system response quarterly report and replace it with a more robust, publicly accessible homelessness information dashboard that provides a broader depiction of the housing and homelessness landscape in London that currently exists. And that Civic Administration be directed to report back to the Community and Protective Services Committee in Q2 of 2025 with an overview of the content and rollout plan of a new dashboard for Council's information. So I'm putting those on the floor and I hope to get a seconder.
Okay, that is on the floor. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Trusso. Okay, so that motion has been moved and seconded, and I'll go back to you to start discussion, and I'll reset your time. Sorry, I didn't want to let you get too far in your train of thought.
No, I appreciate that, Mr. Presiding Officer. I definitely should have put that motion on the floor. I like to keep procedure in order, so I appreciate you pointing that out for me. So I'll be quick. So as I was saying before, I'm looking to improve the public understanding of the current landscape that exists outside. And I do believe that with this motion and the final product of a dashboard portal that would allow us to get that data, that would increase the transparency of our work and our response to homelessness. I'm looking for something that would create a shared factual baseline for public and political discourse. And I am looking for something that offers that is a neutral system that offers that shared data. I also believe that giving staff and council a tool for tracking the effectiveness of interventions in real time would be something that would be greatly helpful for us. And it would also help us with our advocacy to other levels of government when it comes to funding or just a systematic approach. So I'm hoping that I can get support here at committee. I appreciate seconder. And I appreciate the discussion that will ensue at committee and at council. So thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ferreira. You used about commitment of your time. Looking for other speakers to this issue. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Preble.
Thank you. I like part of it. I like the part of the data and snapshot. I do like that. The part it's missing though, and as my fellow councilor who put this together, there's a confusion about how to interpret our progress. So in terms of the data and whatever is in front of us, that certainly does make sense. But then he adds, and how to move forward. That's the thing that I don't see at all with the current proposal, so that's why I'm not gonna support it. And I do want the quarterly, and I do certainly think that if I read through the updates from the tables, there is a positive work done. I'm not gonna say that it's not, but on the other hand, I'm missing actually the actions, the initiatives, the timelines, the specifics, how to move forward. What's in front of us, it would actually make it even lesser that we just have the snapshot and we know how good, how bad we are doing, but I don't see what's in front of us, vision, future vision whatsoever. So I will not be supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Preble. But I would just like to say, I believe the motion is to change from a quarterly report, so there wasn't any action items. This is more a reporting motion because we're just replacing one report in terms of another one. So if you were looking for anything to, like additional, I would imagine that's things that could come out of the data, but I didn't see in terms of Councillor Ferrer's motion any intention to do that. Just wanted to provide that to you. So Councillor Preble, did you want to follow up? Okay, go ahead.
I do. Maybe if I can get a clarification, because the way I read it or what's proposed is we are going to have better data. We are going to have immediate the snapshot where we are. But I don't see anything from those reports that will be shared with public in terms of the reports from the tables and what actions have been taken, what are proposed. And this is the thing that I'm hoping, and I was hoping for to receive in the quarterly. If you remember correctly, it was monthly, then we went to we were considering bi-monthly, we went to quarterly. But at least quarterly, we were supposed to receive these actions, what has been done in last 3 months, what are plans next 3 months, what actions, times, etc. And that's the thing, what's in front of us, I don't see that in this part. I see that's totally disappearing.
Okay, I'll go to the mover if you'd like to respond, just because I feel like there's a lot of questions that aren't necessary to staff, but to the mover of the motion. So go ahead, Councillor Ferrer.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. There was some questions. I'm going to try to respond to them. This would be something that would be a higher frequency than quarterly reporting. At the moment, we only get quarterly reporting, but from my discussions with staff, I do believe that we would be getting updates, I think, once every month. So if we could just go to staff to clarify.
Okay, thank you. And to staff about the frequency, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, yes, we would have a more robust data set that could be reported on and updated on a monthly basis. And then we would tie in additional sources of data that are produced at other levels of government, for example, on an annual basis, and incorporate those as well. So it wouldn't just be a static, we're only reporting on things that generate data on a monthly basis. We would also incorporate annual data sets, and then we would be able to do a summary comparison year over year as well, which might address some of the progress piece that Councillor Preble is talking about. What would be reflected in the dashboard is not just a small, narrow snapshot of one aspect of the work that we're doing, but start to broaden that to actually help the public and council understand the whole picture when it comes to the housing landscape, when it comes to homeless prevention interventions, and you start to incorporate other data sets that start to give you a whole picture of the things that are happening in this community.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Ferrer, anything else from there?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Presiding Officer. So the first point there, thank you, Mr. Dickens, is you'd have more of a frequency of updated data coming to your fingertips as an ad hoc whenever you'd like to access the dashboard. So instead of waiting for that quarterly report, you would be able to see updates every month. So we would be more updated, we would be more informed with what's going on in the near past rather than potentially 4 months back. Another aspect of the questions that you asked with, I guess, the standardization of the types of metrics that we get, I did have a conversation with staff about that. I do understand that we're probably going to get back at SPPC or another committee in the future potential metrics or what type of metrics we're going to look at. So can we just go to staff to clarify that one too?
Okay, go ahead, staff.
Thank you, and through you, what we would look to do is the second part of the motion is to report back in Q2, which we've already started Q2, with an overview of the content and the rollout plan of a new dashboard. So what we would do is we would bring back in Q2 of this year an outline of all of the metrics and the content that would be captured and reported on, as well as what the rollout plan is, because we feel like it's in everyone's best interest to hit the ground running with something that's more robust than what we have now, and then continue to evolve and build it with a clear direction, clear plan of what that future state will look like, instead of waiting for all the resources and everything to get aligned to make the perfect scenario happen. We'd like to hit the ground running as soon as possible with this, or we could, and then scale up that version of the dashboard as we go.
Okay, anything else, Councillor Ferrer?
Last point, I'm trying to answer as many of the questions that I can remember. And then the last point for me, so we would get a higher level of frequency, so we'd be more up to date, more informed on the information that's coming through. We are going to be discussing potential metrics and the standardization of metrics from different agencies or different outreach work or coordinated access coming with that. So we'd be able to standardize that and actually do a comparative analysis. And also, we would be able to disseminate this information to the general public. So we would have the public be able to have the same information that we have, which would be able to inform our debate and, most importantly, inform our decision-making moving forward. So these are some of the benefits that I see coming out of that. I hope that I answered most of the questions.
Okay, so Councillor Ferrer, just let you know you're about 2 minutes 40 in terms of total time, but Councillor Ferrer did start, and if there's people online, please let me know because I can't see their hands. Okay, so I'll look to the Deputy Mayor once we just go through committee members first. So Councillor Preble, you're about minute 30, but if you want to continue your train of thought, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to add that what Councillor Ferrer just said, those are the strengths, and I do like that. My issue is to replacing it. And as Mr. Dickens mentioned, that there will be an opportunity on the annual basis to have some of my questions answered. On an annual basis is not frequent enough for me. I think this is a very crucial issue, and therefore I really don't want to replace quarterly, because I still don't have any guarantees in terms of what's going to be in front of us. And I think we all mean well for us, for the public. The data, the snapshot, that makes complete sense. But replacing it, I don't want to wait for a whole year to analyze what has been done and how we are moving forward. If you remember, we were looking at 1, potentially 2 months. We ended up going quarterly, and now we will be going annually. I don't think that's a strength that that's making this weaker than stronger, this part. So for me, it's just to replace this. In addition, absolutely, because it makes sense, but replace, it does not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to confirm, because I believe this was a question Councillor Ferrer asked, but the annual was more of a comparative analysis, that it would actually be monthly, but the yearly data would be in there so you can kind of track, but I'll go to staff to confirm.
Thank you, and appreciate the offer, and through you, yes, we're not saying we're only doing comparisons once a year. We will have more data sets that we can report on monthly, tapping into other departments who can assist us in this. And as we start to gather more information, we'll have a better opportunity to scrutinize it and ensure it's accurate. Where we will supplement the monthly reporting is with data sets that are only generated once a year. StatsCan is every couple of years. CMHC data comes out once a year. Those are things that are outside of our control. Also, when we look at including in the dashboard outcomes from the work that we're doing, we can still do that through the dashboard, showing what some of the housing stats and housing outcomes, the hubs outcomes, we can produce that in a dashboard format on a monthly basis. This stuff does gonna take time though. If someone's housed for 6 months, you might not see some of those results for 12 months. So it won't be a monthly report card, but it'll certainly be a much broader, more in-depth, very robust dashboard or portal for all of the public and council to access. It will give a broader picture, as I mentioned, of things related to housing and homelessness,
that impact this work.
Okay, thank you for that, staff. Councilor Preble, you got a follow-up?
Thank you, through the chair, to the staff. So currently, or one of the positives of this quarterly reporting was the reporting from the tables and what work has been done, how successful it was, how it worked, how it didn't work, and also the future steps. And this is the thing that if we go with the proposed motion, is this going to be included, the reports from the, because let's put it this way, the tables I consider just like our standing committees and where the work should be done. And is this work going to be included in the proposed snapshot and also the results and future steps, actions? Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, staff.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. So when you look at, the short answer is yes, we can do that. And I think as you'll see in the data sets, like what we will bring back to committee will be things such as, number of those that are housed, moving into homelessness, moving out of homelessness, losing contact. It'll tell a bigger picture than just what did the workforce table do and what did the housing table do and what did the hubs table do. We'll actually be able to produce the data that shows the results of those actions. So in short, yes, and the long answer is it'll be even more than that.
Follow-up, Councillor?
Thank you. When we dealt with this though last year, or how many months before, we actually went from it because on monthly basis, it was too overwhelming for staff. Now we are going to go real data, real-time data on monthly basis. If you are planning, staff prepare the same thing. It's not going to be overwhelming to do it on monthly basis as it's in front of us.
Staff, about the monthly frequency, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, I think it's, for clarity, it's about what we're reporting on. So when council decided to change the reporting from monthly to quarterly, it was that we weren't producing enough activity content from the work that was happening in the community. It seemed, based on council's direction, to warrant monthly. And when you consider our council cycle, we were submitting reports to the clerk's office nearly every 2 weeks. And your meeting frequency might be once every 3 weeks. And so we're reporting back to you on very minimal activity because of the council cycle. What we would have in a dashboard is more data related to the individuals and to the broader community. So in terms of housing starts, those type of things can get produced on a monthly basis that don't have to be reported to council every 2 weeks. It can be generated by a system and reported on monthly. So they're different things, I think, that we're reporting on from what was in the original monthly reports.
Follow-up, Councillor?
Thank you. So I think I have, or currently last question. So currently what's in front of us, what I heard from the staff, that updates such as from the advisory tables, the actions, outcomes, and steps moving forward that will be included. And if the answer is yes, then I'm okay to move to support this motion. But if it's not, then I would not. Thank you.
Okay, when staff's ready, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, again, the short answer would be yes. We would, if we need to create a separate table or a link that shows table activities as part of this, then we could do that.
Thank you. No more questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. And just to confirm with Councillor Preble's last question, does that need to be added in, or is that generally understood for staff to take that direction?
Thank you, and thank you for the clarifying question. Through you, what we'll do is we'll make sure when we come back with the Q2 report back that outlines the scope of this, that is included.
Okay, thank you for that. Looking for committee members. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Ferreira, I can't hear you. Yeah, no, I know, I'm just looking to committee members first, so Councillor Trosser or Councillor Cuddy, do either of you want to speak?
I think I'll defer to the others who haven't spoken yet.
Okay, thank you for that. So I do have the Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Stevenson afterwards, so go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So, I think I'm supportive of this, but through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, having this dashboard with this monthly data, I'm wondering if the intent here is to get something similar, and if staff are interpreting this way, and if they can actually operationalize this way, something similar to what we get monthly from our Service London folks with the CRM link, where we can follow through, knowing that the data is not going to necessarily be, updated daily, that we're going to get a notification that, hey, the April numbers are in, here's the link, you can go check it out, sort of thing. Rather than, because to me, I think there's some value in having that to check in on. I will be honest, I'm not sure that there's perhaps a tremendous amount of public interest in it. I think there is some, but I think that it would be very valuable for councillors if it was structured not exactly like, but in a way similar to how we get a link through CRM for what is happening there. So I'm just wondering if, through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, if staff can comment on whether or not that would be the sort of process that they, a process parallel to the CRM kind of thing. Is that what they would envision sending us?
Go ahead to staff, but I would imagine, as part of this motion, I think this is for it to be publicly accessible, so it probably wouldn't just be for us, but go ahead, staff.
Through you, that is correct, and we would be happy to alert council members when the new data sets are live and updated. We haven't got into the design phase yet. I mean, the motion is just on today's agenda, so staff have not designed exactly what this will look like or the depth and breadth of the content. However, teams at the city have been considering this since we've seen the added agenda, and through a conversation with Councillor Ferreira, is we've looked at other models that seem to be really robust, share really in-depth information, very engaging, so it's not static for the public or council to view. And one such example, and just happy to assign homework to CAPS, is the County of Simcoe portal and their dashboard, and I can circulate that link to members of council to peruse. But that's the type of thing that we would be looking to generate. Again, waiting committee's direction and council's direction, and then reporting back to you as per the motion, so that we can start to engage in that design process.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, so first I'll say thank you, Mr. Dickens, for that. And I don't expect you to have the design all worked out in your head already yet, but yes, if you could circulate that Simcoe link, that would be, I think, helpful to sort of envision what staff might be heading towards. The other question I have is through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, do staff envision being able to accomplish this within the existing resource complement they have?
Okay, go ahead, staff.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, and through you, yes, we do. We, through conversations with a shared resource that we share with Ms. Smith's area and some staff members associated to it, we believe we can complete this without any additional funding required. What we would require is some time to do the design piece and again, iterate that dashboard to get it to its fullest completion. We will need to make sure we have our own staff resourced accordingly. We're not looking to add any resources, but make sure their time is available to collect and analyze and scrutinize the data and validate the data. We don't want to produce inaccurate information. And then, of course, council's patience as we move it through the different iterations to a full and complete picture.
Okay, thank you for that. Deputy Mayor, any more questions?
Just one, as Mr. Dickens was responding there, it kind of popped up. within existing staff resources is great to hear. Do we actually envision, as the motion talks about winding down the quarterly whole of community, do we envision that some of the capacity to provide this dashboard update will be a result of not having to generate these substantive quarterly reports that we receive, some of which actually don't have a whole lot because some of them aren't not every table meets and provides something substantive forward, but I know there are a fair amount of work to put together. So would some of that be a reallocation of those resources?
Okay, go ahead, staff, when you're ready.
Thank you, and through you, without a doubt.
Okay, easy answer. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, that was an easy answer, and happy to hear that. So that makes me, pretty firmly thinking I can support this. I don't know what all the data sets are going to be available to us. I do think having some monthly data would be available. I will say personally, I have started to see, and this is not reflective of the work that staff is putting into it, but the value that I get from the whole of community quarterly responses is not there for me compared to what I think this potentially offers. Because I do want to see things like housing starts and things like that, which aren't necessarily captured in. But I also think that the whole of community itself needs to start transitioning away from being an ideas place to just focus much more on the implementation. And I think that as people are doing, rather than thinking about what we should maybe do, I think those whole of community tables should, start collapsing into a smaller number and be more focused on the implementation piece, which should mean actually fewer meetings to talk about what we might be doing and more time spent actually doing. So I'm going to take a look at the Simcoe example when Mr. Dickens circulates it, but I like what I'm hearing here. And so I just want to share that come council, I think I'm going to be supportive. Of course, I'll reserve my right to look at some more information and have some more questions at council, but I like what I'm hearing and I appreciate the intent that Councillor Ferreira had in bringing this forward.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I'm looking to Councillor Stevenson. Go ahead.
Thank you. I can understand replacing the snapshots with a dashboard, but I don't understand letting go of the quarterly report. I mean, this report covered January to March 2025. And in that period, we had a public letter from several agencies pleading with us to do something about the cold weather. That's not even addressed in this report. There was concern in the public around the cold weather temperatures in Toronto compared to here when we issue cold weather alerts. I was hoping for some information in here from the experts. I'm assuming they discussed it. We had the snapshot said in December 31st, 2024, we had 1,595 people on the by names list. And at March 31st, we had 1,942. The number went up by 350 almost. And yet the number of people living unsheltered dropped from 195 to 90. So my question through you to staff is, does the whole community look at these numbers? Is there information coming to council and the public as to where are these 350 people? If they're not living outside, where are they? And where did they come from?
Staff, like to provide a response? Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, are you referencing the snapshots that were added to the agenda or to the quarterly update? I'm sorry, I was trying to find some information.
Yes, I am.
I'll just let staff respond first.
Thank you. So I'll answer the first part of, does the whole of community look at these snapshots? Yes, in general terms, they would. We do. We help produce those stats, but those snapshots are produced by the work of the organizations that are at the table that are involved in the whole of community system response work. This is we get this feedback, we get the real life experience of frontline workers through our workforce development table. So they talk about the needs and where we're seeing more people on the by name list. When you look at timeframes, we have some people that are fewer people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. They make their way indoors or they disengage with the system during some of those colder months. We will see encampments go back up as we do every single year when the weather starts to warm up. This is very cyclical in nature. Are we making a dent? Yes, absolutely. These snapshots are moments in time. They're reflective of where the community is at or was at. But yes, they're informed by the work of the whole of community partner agencies. They're top of mind for everyone. And, you know, but do we print them off and start designing the system around that? No, we've been doing that work on a regular basis, looking at additional shelter spaces, additional supportive housing spaces, and using the data to drive that those decision making.
Follow-up, Councillor?
Thank you. Yes, I'll follow up when we get to the receiving of the report, but sticking to the motion that's here, which is the replacement. As I said, the snapshot provides data. If we can replace that with a dashboard that's better, that has more information more often, of course I'm going to support that. But I don't like the idea of getting rid of the quarterly report. It's the opportunity to talk about what's happening in our city and get the feedback on how we're responding, or maybe we need something else. You know, maybe then there gets to be some other way that we get as councillors. This is the only information that I get. There is all kinds of people involved in this who are meeting all of the time, and this report is the only information that I as a councillor and the public get on how we are addressing the crisis that is in our city. And so I don't want to no longer have a report on the status of what we're doing, what's working, what's not working, what's next. And I think it's really important. So I just want to say again, like I'm okay with switching from a snapshot to a dashboard, but that we would say we don't need to hear any feedback whatsoever on what's going on in terms of the homelessness unless we're being asked to approve a contract. Then we get to find another way to inform councillors and the public on these important things that are coming before us. The numbers are people. And so a dashboard without a narrative to say, give us some insight onto where these 347 people came from. And when we've got agencies within our whole of community who are saying numbers way, way bigger than this. I mean, we've issued the latest snapshot saying there's only 90 people living outside. And yet this council just endorsed $3 million in supports for those 90 people over the next 365 days. And so I've got the public asking me, what's going on? And so I want to be able to explain, and a dashboard isn't going to give us that information from the experts and staff that's needed to go along with the dashboard.
Thank you. Councillor Stevenson. I don't know, I'm just going to speak to I guess the previous point that was just made. I mean, there's nothing precluding the councillor, you can speak with the mayor, whoever you feel is appropriate, but I mean, there's nothing precluding you from having a working group or a task force if you felt that was necessary. Items can be referred to different groups as well. I know we have obviously a governance working group, we got SPPC, but I'm just trying to provide a path forward in terms of we're specifically speaking about data, but in terms of opportunities to talk to this, there's nothing precluding other opportunities if you wanted to bring those forward. I'm just saying, this is one avenue. I know what Councillor Ferrer's intentions were, but there are, as you said, a lot of things that feed into this. I'm looking for, okay, Councillor Trasso, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and through the presiding officer. We have to understand the role of data as opposed to policy conclusions. we have to understand the foundational role that data, even raw data, plays in the policy process. And I think that in our desire to get ahead of the game into further later stages in the policy process, where we want answers, we want data, and the reports that data informs to give us solid recommendations, that we should not overlook the power of data. And the way the power of data is manifest these days is through open data systems. And for this city, which already has, by the way, a pretty robust open data portal that has a lot of really good data in it, I think it's great, and I really applaud the councilor for coming forward with this. But I want to speak to how important this data will be to researchers, to external researchers, not just this council, not just the researchers with whom we enter into contracts with, but researchers around the world who are grappling with this problem. And I don't care if you're a postgraduate researcher working for a think tank at a very high level, or whether you're a student putting together a term paper on this problem. The data is going to inform the knowledge generation process. And not only that, but this data is going to inform the knowledge creation process in a way that's very cost effective. So I'm a little surprised to be hearing so much concern being raised about what I see is, we've got this data, let's make it more accessible to the public. Of course we should do that. Does that preclude us from issuing further reports that takes that data and creates some conclusions from it? Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. We're talking about the dissemination of raw data here, which is in the public interest. So thank you very much. I most certainly will be supporting this, and I'm starting to think there are a lot of other areas within municipal administration where open data resourcing might be a great idea. If nothing else, it might cut down on some of the records requests we might have to entertain because the data is not being made available. And when we talk about raw data, by the way, and I just want to make this clear, it's anonymized. It's not linked to personally identifiable information, and it's useful primarily to researchers. So I'm a big supporter of open data, and I want to move forward with this. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Trosso. Not seeing other hands right now. I'll take the opportunity to speak to this a little bit. Appreciate Councilor for bringing this forward. I too see a lot of value in terms of the data. I personally make a lot of decisions. Like I like to see data, and then from the data, I'm able to perhaps come up with motions. Like to me, you have to have good data to then inform your motions and your direction. So to me, this is a no-brainer. I really do think we need to have something that we ourselves can refer to, that the public can refer to, and I don't think this precludes us from having those discussions. I think, as I mentioned before, there are other opportunities. We can always, form groups in terms of wanting to work on specific items. We've brought forward motions on specific things before. I just think this, to me, it's a good starting point. I mean, I wish we could have had it sooner. I recognize the challenges in trying to get a whole system up and running to be able to get the information to actually have the accurate data. And so one of my questions to the staff would be in terms of the sources of the data. Are we more confident now in terms of pulling that information and ensuring accuracy? I'm hoping that it can be, whether it's cross-verified or are we confident now in terms of the data that would be presented that we can verify it and be confident we wouldn't have to go back and make adjustments or corrections all the time, that it could be something we could rely on. Recognizing that obviously fluid situation and, things happen, but I would like to be able to say to people that, this is information that has gone through and being verified before being posted.
through you, that is certainly the goal, is to make sure we're not producing or publishing anything that hasn't been validated and verified. So as we cast the net broader, in terms of the data collection, again, doing this under the premise of zero resources added, staying within our financial budgets and making best use of staff that we have available to us, which is just a couple people. We would absolutely make sure we're taking the time to validate and verify the data. The more data we collect, the more we have to validate, but we can do that. In terms of the reliability, as it is in the County of Simcoe model that you're going to see, or as it is in any American example you're going to find, the data is in many cases self-disclosed. So as our phones ring for surveys, whatever we choose to disclose gets published. So the information is self-disclosed. And it's as accurate as it's entered. So throughout that process, when there are outliers or things that don't make sense, our data folks would flag those and start to scrutinize and dig deeper and work with those that input the data to ask questions and verify and make corrections if needed, or just get more context to an outlier perhaps. So that work will happen, and that will be where a lot of the work happens. The pulling of the reports won't be so bad. The producing it online won't be so bad. It's going to make sure that we actually scrutinize it well.
It's myself. I forgot I was chair for a second. I appreciate that, and I think the verification is important and having the reliability. Also to that, I just want to ensure, that there's some sort of disclaimer in terms of us putting that when we post the information, the sources. And I would also like to just follow up in terms of, is this HIFIS data? And if so, have all of our partner agencies actually now been onboarded and are utilizing it? And is that kind of where we're pulling a lot of this from?
Thank you, and through you. Sorry, I forgot the first part of the question. As far as the HIFIS piece, the HIFIS is going to be one of the larger areas that we pull data from, absolutely. And we've continued to onboard more organizations. We've had 5 more organizations added into HIFIS in 2025, so that gives us a more robust, fulsome picture. And I do forget the first part of your question. My apologies.
That's okay. I think you covered it anyways. And just to my earlier point, I just want to ensure, say if we are using HIFIS data, again, to the disclaimer point, if there is an agency that is not utilizing it, that we do mention that this data is, accurate based on, partner agencies actually utilizing it. But if we do have someone that hasn't, that is called out, and so people know exactly where the info is coming from. Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, I'm not sure about the calling out part, naming who's not on HIFIS, but as far as the disclaimer, some of the models we've been quickly researching through conversations related to this motion is that there are there's a couple that we've come across, not a number, a couple, dashboards or portals that actually have a disclaimer right on the page that you can't get to the data till you acknowledge some of the information, and sort of clicking through that you understand that where this information is coming from, or it might not be fully complete, or so on and so forth. So and also looking at models that can actually give you more information to depict what it is we're talking about. So what do you mean when you say emergency shelter? So more of a glossary of terms as well, so that you're understanding what it is you're looking at, and not just looking at a bunch of charts and graphs and numbers and outputs, but you actually have the opportunity to see and almost forced to read and understand a bit of a glossary of terms before you get into the data.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And yeah, I don't necessarily, in terms of privacy, I don't need individuals called out, but just a recognition that it is being pulled from agencies that are currently using it, and that some may not currently be onboarded. Something just to that effect. I really appreciate the idea of a glossary. I do think it's important in terms of, having the information, but then also being able to digest it and be able to refer to what is actually being referenced. So that's very important. I'm supportive of this. I think we need to change direction, and I think this will be a good thing for both us and for the public to reference. So So I'll end my comments there, looking to any other speakers. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Cuddy.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Officer, and through you, just a comment that you made earlier. Thank you to Councillor Ferrer for bringing this forward. Good work. Need more of that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Councillor Privel, sorry, go ahead. You have about 3 minutes left, so go ahead. You had used up about, sorry, you had 2.5 minutes left. Yeah, sorry.
We keep talking about the data, and to be honest with you, not sure why this part is questioned, because we all agree with it. Everything is great. So we are talking and making more time data. The other part, the part that I think that if we heard something negative towards this was we don't want to lose what's currently in the quarterly report, the tables, the outcomes, the actions. And I'm going to ask one more time, because if I believe I did get the answer straight, but maybe I didn't, because based on what my colleagues were saying for the last 20 minutes, maybe I didn't get it right. My question is this the quarterly report, the information from the tables, actions taken, the progress? I just don't want numbers that we see if we improved over last months or if we didn't. I want to see the proper implementation plan going forward, which again, there is certainly the quarterly, what's in front of us. There is a room for improvement, but at least it gives certain vision, what was done and which way we are heading, so we see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just afraid if we go just with the data, we are going to have great numbers, but what is that giving us to move forward? And that's my point. If we will get this information, valuable information in terms of what's in front of us moving forward, I'm 100% behind it. I will support it. If I'm going to lose this, and if all I'm going to have that last month we had 5 homeless, now we have 7, 3 were there, that doesn't help me how to move forward. That's my question. If I get this answered, I'll be more than happy to 100% support it. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Steph, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. I think we're still on the same page, and we're acknowledging that we could still report on the whole of community as part of this dashboard. It can have its own separate section. We can include, so again, we haven't designed this yet, but if what you're looking for, and I'm sure others feel this way, is some narrative to specifically the whole of community, because we're going to look broader than that as well. But if what the councilor is looking for is narrative specific to the whole of community to be included somewhere in this new dashboard, then that can likely happen. As we design it, we can include a whole of community system response section. I think our report that's before you today has both a mix of narrative, the things that we're working on, as well as some outcomes from those things that we're working on. So if council wants to see more of what are some of the things that are happening at those tables, we can include some of that narrative.
Okay, Councillor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Dickinson. I do agree with you, which there are certain outcomes this, and they are positive, and I'm seeing somehow the light at the end of the tunnel. That's why I didn't want to lose it. You answered, yes, I will support this. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not seeing any other speakers, but I just looking to the clerks because I can't see what's going on over there. We do have to dispose of this motion and then do a motion to receive, or we don't have to receive the previous quarterly. We don't have to receive it? Well, I'm seeing a nod and a no, so, okay. To the clerks.
Thank you. Through the chair, Councillor Ferreira put forward an alternate motion. So once this is disposed of, we'll be moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, so we don't have to receive the quarterly report at all. Okay. But just, can I make an amendment then to have it received? Because I think it's important that that report's still received.
Through the chair, generally we have that motion if there's no direction. Given that there's direction, we will note that the report was provided, but it's not necessary from a clerk's procedural perspective to amend it to receive.
Would that not be on the council? Like, I just want to make sure the information isn't lost that is attached, so it's not going to be.
Through the chair, the motion says as follows, that the following actions be taken with respect to the staff report dated April 28th with respect to the whole of community system response.
Okay, can I just add a C then, that the report be received? Go ahead, Councillor Trunzo.
See, and it being noted that a letter was received by Councillor Ferreira, which is attached. And received.
No, well, I meant the quarterly report as well.
Through the chair, we can certainly make an amendment to add a new part C that the report was received. We'll just need a seconder.
Okay, so we're on the amendment, which is part C, to have the report received. Okay, so that's been moved and seconded. I'm looking for discussion. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you, and thank you for that, because I came to this meeting to talk about this report, so I'm glad to have the opportunity to do that. I sent a bunch of questions to staff. I have so many questions. Did the House of Hope, it was announced that they got $845,000 from the London Community Foundation, and I know we provided funding for 2 years, so I'm just wondering what that particular funding was for.
Okay, is that a point of order? Go ahead.
I just want to ask councillors to keep their questions within what's exactly on the floor and not extrinsic matters that have already been dealt with.
So the quarterly report is the amendment that was added, so I believe the councillor is asking questions of part C, which is that the report be received.
Yeah, I thought we were just dealing formally with receiving documentation that we've been talking about for the last hour, but I guess not. But I just really think that we should try to contain this.
Okay, recognizing that, Councillor. So, I mean, if there are a number of questions, recognizing, Councillor, you only have the 5 minutes, I mean, you're also able to attach a letter. I know you had attached your request to have things added, but just so you know, you can always add in a letter to have forwarded to council if you have a lot that you want to go through.
I'm aware, and I chose to bring these ones to this committee.
Okay, go ahead. But yes, we'll just ensure that we keep to the items that were in the report, so go ahead. Okay, staff, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, the funding from the LCF to London Cares and the House of Hope is direct funding for the sustaining of the services at that site. So when there was a decrease in funding through other healthcare partners, LCF, through some of their grants, stepped in and provided additional funding to London Cares.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. Last spring, council approved a motion asking for the budget for the House of Hope. Do you know when we can expect to receive that?
Go ahead, staff.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Having received your questions this morning, our team has been unable to find that council resolution, but we continue to search for it, and should we find that there is a council resolution, we would bring that back. But we would look for council direction if there isn't already in place.
Okay, thank you. I can send that over. I've seen some reports from London Cares regarding the House of Hope and how well it's working within their walls. But I hear a lot of concerns around what's happening in the community. I wondered if their staff or the whole community have looked at the issues that are happening in the surrounding area and maybe the number of EMS, fire, and police calls to the highly supportive housing buildings?
Point of order. When you start a question by saying, I've heard, that was just vague. And I think it's an open-ended question that could be the subject of a full nother report. And I think we're getting far afield from what's before this body right now. This is not an all-purpose deposition. This is not an all-purpose inquiry to relitigate points that have come up time and time again in the past. So I would ask the presiding officer to exercise a little control, because this can just become indefinite.
So I can't really exercise control because I can't do anything about the mics. I recognize your point, Councillor Trasso. So I mean, I'm more than happy to hand it back to the chair, but I can't cut people off. Recognizing, we do have to keep to the facts, and we just try to generally avoid speculation and anecdotal evidence. So if your questions can be to the information and things that are not contained, obviously staff can't comment on that because they probably don't have that information. So I'll look back to the councillor to perhaps rephrase.
Well, my question was, at some point, are we going to evaluate from a whole of community perspective? And is there any information available regarding the EMS, police, and fire calls to the highly supportive housing units?
Does staff want to comment on that, or is that not something they can? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, the easy answer is yes. Council endorsed the whole of community system response evaluation framework, which has an evaluation report back. Well, I can't presuppose exactly what's in there at this point. It's coming back to council in September. That is your previous direction for us to do, is to look at the highly supportive housing, looking at impacts in the community, looking at impacts on first responders. So I don't know what is involved there. That is being led through the Center for Research on Health Equity and Social Inclusion, or CRESI for short. There are lead evaluators on this work, and they will be gathering that information. Noting along this line of questions, the councillor sent us some others related to crime data from the House of Hope, so I might as well answer that now while I have the microphone on. There's data that we've reported that's been approved by the police force. The information the councillor was looking for was more granular than what was provided in terms of percentage decreases. And right now we don't have the authority to produce that information publicly. That is police data.
Okay, thank you, staff. Go ahead, Councillor Stevenson.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for that. In terms of the Heart Hub, I wondered how many net new beds are we getting from that? Just looking to share with the public what is being reduced in terms of the Recovery Community Center or the Salvation Army.
Okay, go ahead, staff.
Through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, that would be at minimum 33 net new spaces.
Okay, thank you. And I had asked about the briefing summary regarding the cost for 2024. Is a motion needed for that, or is that something that can just be distributed?
Go ahead, staff.
Through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, having heard the earlier conversation about the desire for more briefing notes and fewer staff reports, we'd be happy to oblige. So depending on when this meeting ends and when our partners in finance can update the briefing note, we could probably have something circulated to council either by end of day later tonight or early tomorrow.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Perfect, thank you very much. So just to follow up on the snapshots and the changes in numbers and a lot of the numbers that are being discussed in the public realm, are there any trends that you can share with us in terms of, say, that larger increase in the number on the by name list? Do we know, say that, a lot of people are, say, being rent-evicted and they're falling into homelessness? We have people coming from outside. I'm just wondering if there's anything that can be shared.
Okay, staff, you want to share on the source of homelessness? Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. the year-over-year trend and even the over-quarter report trend is we're seeing an increase in homelessness. I think every community is experiencing the same issue, and there's a variety of reasons as to why. Again, as Mr. Dickens indicated earlier, when we create a profile in HIFIS for somebody who is new to homelessness, much of their information is self-identified. And so those that do share that information, whether it's a rent eviction, whether they lost a job, they had a marital breakdown, whole bunch of different opportunities or different aspects of that, it will be filed in the HIFIS database and we can run a report. But if it's not shared or it's shared incorrectly or not accurate, then that data can skew the number. But our teams over time, as we work in the HIFIS database, can help refine that information. So initially we have a bit of a sense, but it is all self-disclosed.
Follow-up, Councillor?
Yeah, thank you. Just as people look at these snapshots, right, they have questions around them. The same with the decrease in the unsheltered from 195 to 90 as the weather warmed up, although I noticed we had a decrease in 2023 to March of 2024 as well. So again, just wondering if there's anything that you can or want to share with the public around that trend that we see from December to March, and about the outreach money that we just funded for those who see, a decrease. We were at 350 plus in December of 2023, down to 207, and your reports always say their numbers are bigger than that, right? But then 207 March of 2024, 195 December 2024, and then down to 90 March of 2025. Anything that you can share around that trend, that makes it seem like something we should be celebrating, and yet at the same time, the feeling is that things are getting worse out there. So just wondering if there's anything that you can share with us to help the public understand what's going on and the reason why we focus so much on outreach funding, given that the trend is going down in terms of unsheltered here.
Okay, Mr. Cooper, you want to take that one?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Yeah, the caveat on the unsheltered data is it's folks that interact with our system, right? So we know that a number of individuals who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness do not interact with our system, which is why we have that caveat there. Mr. Dickens alluded to earlier that we see that cyclical pattern for individuals that find temporary housing during the cold weather months and then come back out when the weather's warmer. So we will see, again, another increase. I have to do a little more analysis on the month-over-month piece. I don't have an exact answer for you today, but from the outreach piece, I do have a little bit of clarity I can share on that outreach funding. The $3 million and $2.6 million have been referenced. It's not accurate. It's a bit of a winding journey, so bear with me. But on February 12th at the council meeting, that $1.4 million that was identified through the UHEI was referred back to staff to have a more fulsome basic needs report. So that basic needs plan was then brought back in March of this year and approved by council on April 7th. So that source of funding was for $1.2 million. So the plan is $1.2 million. That shifted from UHEI to the ETF funding. It wasn't added to the UHEI funding. The money was referred back to us. We then went to a more robust plan or a more fulsome plan as council's direction, and the source of funding was changed to the ETF. So the confusion stems from that change there, that UHEI program request initially to then come back to civic administration. And at that point, when we received our ETF approvals in March, we've applied the ETF funding. So what happens to the $1.4 million from the UHEI? So that money has been redirected out to the Center of Hope as the 18 beds have been approved by council. And then the remainder will be applied to other approved aspects of the UHEI program, such as Cronin Warner. Which could then potentially save a municipal or provide a municipal unallocated amount, which we're still working through those exact numbers once we get the contracts in place, which we will be bringing back to council as directed. So the 1.2 million outreach basic needs as approved by council on April 7th was around $705,000 for meals, water, comfort stations, and then about $545,000 for the outreach staff, which was mixed between London Cares additional staff and 519 Pursuit additional staff. I hope that provides clarity.
Thank you. I really appreciate that winding clarity because that makes a big difference. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. Okay, this is on the amendment, by the way, Councilor Preble, so go ahead.
Sorry, on the amendment, but we did include Part C, this report as well. So if I have a question this would be the right time, correct? Sorry, in the conclusion, it states the civic administration will continue to explore expansion options for additional highly supportive housing projects. I just want to confirm, when we say highly supportive housing projects, do we consider that for high acuity individuals, or it could be even low, medium acuity?
Go ahead, Steph.
Thank you. Very good question. Appreciate that through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. It's both and. So where we're tying the highly supportive housing to is the standards of care. We've heard loud and clear from this council on numerous occasions, when people with high acuity are housed without proper supports, it can end in very bad outcomes for all involved. And so what council endorsed was a highly supportive housing plan. And so we're looking to bring on more units that fall within the parameters of that plan. Now, in some cases, if you create a 100-unit building and you put 100 of the highest acuity people under the exact same roof, it doesn't always work out. So you need to look for a mix of acuity to make sure that you can balance the needs of those and others. Do we still have a disproportionate number of high acuity individuals going underserved on our streets? Absolutely. And their acuity doesn't get much better staying out on those streets. So as we do outreach, it's with the purpose of getting people housed. As we create highly supportive housing units, it's to bring people indoors. And same through the Heart Hub and same through other hubs. So when we look to bring on more highly supportive housing units, it's tied to the plan and the criteria and all the definitions that this council has already endorsed.
Thank you, and completely understand and 100% agree. In addition, though, as the numbers are increasing in the encampments in our city of the homeless population, are we looking at other options? I know one option we talked earlier today, which was, for example, the sprung structures, etc. But are we looking at other options where we could potentially have low/medium acuity individuals, like the vacant buildings that currently are, and in London, and yes, they are privately owned, but there are certain stores that are planning to close, be vacant, some already are. Are we looking beyond, not just highly supportive? Thank you.
Go ahead, Steph.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Mr. Mathers and Mr. Feldberg have a number of initiatives, CIPs, roadmaps related to affordable housing. We're looking at the work LMCH is doing around rent geared to income or mixed economies housing. We have council endorsed direction through the multi-year budget around rent supplements, around housing first programs. So we are constantly, every day, every year, 400 plus, I better be careful referencing numbers as we talk about data today, but we house hundreds of people that are low acuity every year through rent supplement program, through our housing identification program, through our organizations that have housing finders and work with landlords directly. That's the work we do on an ongoing basis. If we were to turn our efforts away from the council endorsed plans, we would need council direction to go and pursue other initiatives. We simply have brought forward plans that have been endorsed, and that's the work we're doing, is what council has directed us to do.
Thank you, and there has been some truly great work done in the perspective of what you just said, Mr. Dickinson, through the presiding officer. And I'm not going to make this kind of any longer, but I do want to, and I will discuss with you and with the staff, potential opportunities of the private buildings that we could house low, medium acuity additional individuals, and hopefully potentially run by the organizations outside the City Hall, social agencies. But I'm not going to take more time. I just want a clarification of the highly supportive housing, but with the number of increasing individuals out in the encampments and on the street, especially during this weather, I'm hoping to find more roof over the heads of these individuals in a more speedier timeline. But I will leave it at that, but thank you for answering that question.
Okay, not seeing any other questions. Oh, okay, Councillor Stevenson, go ahead. Just letting you know, you have 2 minutes left. Go ahead.
2 whole minutes. It reminds me, I've got 3 other questions. In the report, it talks about the highly supportive housing, and that the table endorsed 3 supportive housing units. And when I asked for clarification on that, the information's coming in announcements. But I'm wondering at what point council or the public is going to have a say about the location of these highly supportive housing buildings? Is there going to be some sort of public process?
Go ahead, Steph.
Thank you, and through you, are we good to? Thank you, through you, Mr. Presiding Officer. It's, to answer your question, I'll start it and maybe my colleagues can add in details, but if it would come before council if there was zoning required. So these properties, and the reason we don't disclose the location of the properties here is that the organizations will. It's their project that they want to announce. It's a partnership with LCF in some cases, and so they will be making the appropriate announcements about their housing projects. What we're reflecting back to council in full transparency is that these projects came forward to the SAT table, and we were able to have discussion, and as a entity, we endorsed these projects to move forward to the next stage, which is securing some additional funding from other sources of funding, and starting to move forward on that path. Some projects are a little bit further ahead than others, but those locations will be announced by those organizations, and before they're announced publicly, we will be giving council a confidential heads up once we have that timing. As far as like when does council get to weigh in on who gets a highly supportive housing project, these are locations and properties that organizations already own. It would go through PEC if there was a zoning requirement, to the best of my knowledge.
Follow-up, Councillor?
Yes, thank you. I also had a question. When we talk about the numbers that are on the snapshot, and I know they're not accurate necessarily, but we've got some agencies out there saying that we have 2,000 people living on the streets right now, and I keep saying that's not what we've been told, that there's 2,000 on the by name list. I heard a third in our shelters, ballpark, a third unsheltered and a third living couch surfing or in their cars or something. So is there anything that you can provide in terms of 90 people living outside? Do you have a ballpark idea of how many are actually living outside? Just even a sense of it? Because a third would be close to 600, and I don't know if that is a closer ballpark to tell people.
Staff want to provide their best guess whenever they're ready. Go ahead. Councillor, you got 30 seconds, so after they answer, if you want to wrap up, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, I'll try and provide some clarity. The unsheltered situation is fairly complex, and it's difficult to get an inherent exact number, right? We recognize that if somebody is living unsheltered, it's in many cases because they don't want to interact with the system, and a lot of times, especially if they're avoiding the current access points to the system. The 90 that you reference is really a count of individuals through our HIFIS database that have 0 stays in shelter. So we know a number of folks have 1 or 2 days in shelter over the 3 months, but that wouldn't be counted as totally unsheltered, right? Because they have had a few days stay in sheltered. So the number's probably anywhere from 90 to 600, but at any given time, right, we don't have a specific percentage that we say anything under 50% stays in shelter, we count as unsheltered, right? It's really self-disclosed on where you stayed last night.
Thank you, that's helpful. The last thing is the cold weather response. Is there something coming to council or to do a change for next year? Is that going to need to come from us?
Go ahead, staff.
Thank you, and through you, Presiding Officer, we have council resolution and direction to develop the framework for warming centers for the cold weather months and different thresholds and different delivery models. Ms. Smith and myself, along with some others at the city, are working on that.
Okay, any other questions? You good?
No, that's good, thank you.
Okay, so seeing no others, this will be to open the amendment for voting. So if the clerks want to open that.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 4-0.
Okay, so now we are on the amended motion. Are there any further discussion? Or actually, sorry, do I need me to move or and seconder for that? Or, okay, Councillor Ferreira, Councillor Trosvady, or okay, Councillor Preble. Okay, so this is the motion as amended. Any discussion on this, or are we good to vote? Sorry. Okay, Councillor Rahman. Sorry, I can't see your screen, so go ahead.
No problem, and thank you. So I just want to get some clarity as to where we've landed, because I've kind of gotten a little lost as we've been talking through what our next step is alongside the report and going forward with the dashboard. I think what I'm hearing is that we will still receive the reports, but the dashboard will help to be kind of an alignment of all of these conversations over or in between those reports. So that will help us to keep better informed and to have more information. I just want to get some more clarity on that.
Okay, I'll look to staff to just say in terms of the direction they're taking from the motion that's currently on the floor as amended. I believe that's to staff, if you want to just comment on how you take that direction. What, Councillor Ferreira, you're gonna?
Yes, I can, Presiding Officer. Section A of the motion that I brought through read that Civic Administration be directed to discontinue the quarterly response report and add the dashboard. So I guess the answer to that question would be there would be no quarterly reporting in this part of the motion.
Yes, but I believe to Councillor Preble's points that he made a number of times, there might be some information still captured, but I just want to look to staff to ensure that that's how they took that.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Through you, it's our understanding that we would be discontinuing the quarterly reporting as agreed by committee.
Okay, so no information from that report. It would just be the data. Just to confirm, because I know Councillor Preble asked it a number of times. So is that okay, Councillor Rahman, or do you want more clarification?
Thank you. So I just want to make clear that I don't support that. I support it being in combination with, and I want to share kind of my thoughts on that.
Okay, do you want to share your thoughts now? Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. So my concern would be that in the quarterly report, it also outlines resource capacity as well as resources that are currently being supported to the whole of community. And one of the concerns I have is that we lose that. We lose a part of our accountability towards the information that's coming from the whole of community as well. So right now, my main concern is that this is the only reporting mechanism that I have into to CAPS on this matter, and then into council. And it serves as a good opportunity for us to have some discussion on, you know, what are we seeing, what are we hearing, what's coming back. My understanding is that in the quarterly report, it highlights that there is some work that's being done around what's the ongoing strategic direction of the strategy and accountability table. So if we stop receiving those reports, then how do we know what was decided as the ongoing structure or strategic focus of that group? When it relates to that strategic focus of that group, one of the things I was hoping for was further discussion at some point as to how council engages with the strategy and accountability table, because it seems as though our engagement points are now limited to when funding requests are coming forward. Well, now we've approved funding until basically the end of March 31st, 2026 on a number of initiatives that also interact with those tables. So I just feel like the touch points and opportunities to continue to have a conversation that the public wants us to engage in, that they want to know that we are very well informed on, was this. And if we lose that, how do we set the table to have the conversation at committee and council?
Okay. In terms of if staff want to comment on interaction with Hall of Community, if there's any opportunity there, I don't know if they want to speak to that, but if you do, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Presiding Officer, just to clarify, the strategy and accountability table isn't like a sole decision maker. I think sometimes that our desire for inclusion, we perhaps bury the lead on the fact that city staff are the service managers. So we have service manager responsibility under the Housing Services Act when it comes to certain responsibilities with housing and homelessness and around having formal processes in place and decision-making authority. So ultimately, it is city decision-making authority on where things go and what's decided, and often that does require a report back to council. So at this point, we're undergoing our work in terms of what the strategy and accountability table looks like and how we're structured to be as most effective and efficient with resources as possible. It's not contemplated to expand that group. But certainly there might be other mechanisms. I think council is very well connected to this work as it is.
Okay, thank you. And so my understanding would be then, as they have previously operated, anytime there are recommendations coming out of any of the working tables, that would still have to come to council for decision-making. Just want to confirm with staff that's the case. Okay, I'm getting nods. Go back to you, Councillor Rahman, if you want to follow up.
Thank you. And through you, I don't believe that I was burying the lead on the role that staff plays. I was merely, in my opinion, commenting what was in the report. Again, I'll just reiterate that I find these reports helpful and table setting in terms of what we're going to be discussing through committee and then through council. I think that any more additional information that's available through a dashboard, yes, that would be very helpful in terms of our decision making. I agree, Simcoe's model, I think it was Simcoe that we talked about, Hamilton's model, a few other places do help to provide more information that could be helpful during the time of decisions. But I don't want it to be an and/or, I'm looking for a both. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Rahman. Looking for any other speakers. Please tell me if there's anyone online. Not seeing any. Okay, so we will open the voting for the as amended motion.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 4-0.
Okay, and I am handing the chair back to Councillor Ferreira. Go ahead.
Thank you, Vice Chair. That was a nice little break for me. We can go on to the last item for items for direction. That was pulled from the consent, 2.5, approval of the template contribution agreement for affordable housing projects. I will look to Councillor Trosso, because he pulled this one, to put a motion on the floor and hear some comments or questions. Please go ahead.
Yes, and I'm really sorry for extending this meeting even further, but I was captured by the urgent sense of the letter that we received, which admittedly was a bit cryptic in terms of what are the terms in this agreement that would preclude them from signing it. I think everyone around this table wants to see this project go through. We want to cooperate with these with the proponents. Can somebody, without getting into confidential information, and they're the ones that sent us this letter, which was done under circumstances of not confidentiality. So I think it's fair for me to say that we received a letter from Mr. McKenzie stating some concerns. May I ask what those were and if we can clear them up? Because I don't want to have to get into a construction of whether or not it's a minor change or a major change. I would just like to deal with this before the council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll let you finish there, but I did want to say we need a motion on the floor before we can actually speak to it.
I'm prepared to accept the report that's on the floor, assuming there's a reasonable answer to this. And if there's not, I will move that we not deal with this today and we get more information before the council meeting. So it really is totally dependent on what they say.
Understood, Councillor. I do, just for procedurally, we can make an amendment to the recommendation that we have from the report, but I would need just something.
Well, you boxed me into a procedural corner. So maybe I'll say I'm going to move to defer this. But then if they give me a reasonable answer, I have to then go through another set of motions. Could we just get an answer to the question? Let me reframe that. Could you simply answer the question such that we will then have guidance as to how to proceed? And he's shaking his head yes.
I'm sure that they could, but I am going to say we need a motion on the floor before I go to staff. So I am looking for a move.
My motion is we get right now at this meeting a little bit more information from staff so we can answer the question that Mr. McKenzie raised.
Councillor, that is not in order for the committee. I apologize. I do need any motion. If you move the recommendation, you can vote against it. If you move the recommendation, you can amend it as well. But just for procedure.
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor McAllister moving. I'm looking for a seconder. I will second the motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that this be referred to council and that before that time, staff will be requested to provide us with such information that may answer the question. Yes.
Councillor, we do actually have a motion on the floor. McAllister moved, I just seconded it. I will go to staff for your questions. We can make amendments with those questions.
What was the motion on the floor?
The recommendation for the staff report. So I'll go to Councillor Trusso's question. I'll go to staff for that question.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So unfortunately, we don't have much clarity from the particular proponent. I did reach out yesterday afternoon as well to say to them that I'd meet with them and talk to them this morning before this meeting so they would be able to provide that kind of advice or and help with the discussion here at committee today. But as of right now, I'm still working on arranging a meeting so that they can tell us exactly what their concerns are with our contribution agreement. Once I have that, then we can make a decision on what needs to happen next, whether that needs further endorsement from council, or if through the delegation that you're providing us, we can make the changes to the agreements.
Thank you, Mr. Fehlberg. Councillor.
Thank you. That's very helpful to the chair. I would say that I would be inclined not to want to support what's on the floor, vote it down, and ask that this be defer to council because, as you just said, you will ascertain to get us that information.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll go to Mr. Felberg.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So one thing I'd just like to point out is that this is a template agreement, so it does apply to 5 other proponents that we're looking for approval on. If there's something specific for this proponent, that is something that we can deal with separately. We can work independently with each of the other 5 in order to advance them through their project. I am aware that St. Vincent de Paul, which is the one project that we're talking about, they need our contribution agreement in order to finalize their CMHC financing. Recognize also that CMHC is currently in caretaker period, which is very similar to the lame duck. So once that is lifted, they will be able to commit their financing and start construction. I'm pretty sure that they're through their building permit review as well, so they could be in a position to start, and this contribution agreement really forms the last thing that they need. If it is an item around the financing and how it sits on their property, as some proponents have, you have a CMHC mortgage that actually would take first position, but we as a city, we postpone to that primary lender in order to allow them to advance their work. If they have temporary loans through LCF or some other body, we also postpone to those as well. So I'm really not sure what the big risk is to this project. We're quite willing to work with them, and we do that with all of the proponents that we work with in the affordable housing space.
Thank you, Mr. Felberg. I'd also add, just kind of conferring with the clerk here, if we vote this down and bring nothing to council from this committee, there will be no recommendation from committee. Go ahead, Councillor.
I don't want to impede this, and I want this to go to council really bad. So I think what I'll say is I'll make an amendment, a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor based on the representation that we just heard from staff, which will read, quote, "It being noted that if a departure from the template is needed to accommodate the legitimate needs of this applicant, staff is directed to work with them in order to accomplish that." End of quote.
Thank you, Councillor. A seconder? Second? No? Okay, before we go for a second, I just wanted to just confer with Mr. Felberg if that is workable with your side of things.
Through the chair, that, absolutely. Notwithstanding what council directs us to do, we will work with them, and this complements what we're planning to do with the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Clerk is asking Councillor to read that amendment again, if you don't mind, so they can get it down.
Okay, it being noted. Geez.
Councillor, your
I
microphone.
repeated what they said. They said, yeah, that's right. So I just read back the transcript.
Okay, just a second. I'll confer with clerks and we'll get something back. Okay, Councillor, we got some wording here. I'm going to read it to you. It's motion to amend the motion, it being noted that if a departure from the template is needed, that staff will work to accommodate the proponent. That's good? Prior to the council meeting?
We'll attempt to work with the proponent to accommodate their legitimate concerns prior to the council meeting. We'll attempt to.
I'm going to go to Mr. Mathers.
Through the chair, you could just even be more broad as far as bring it back to council for approval, just because we're going to try to get this done before the next council meeting, and this resolution wouldn't be resolved by council until after council meeting. So if you just be broad and say, return to council for approval.
Okay, so at the end of the motion, from the template is needed that staff will work to accommodate the proponent. And I'm sorry, the last part that you wanted to add to that?
And return for council approval.
Looking to the mover? Yes, sir. Okay, I don't believe we have a seconder yet. Pribble, or Council Pribble, you seconded? No? Okay, I'm looking for a seconder. All right, looking for a seconder. He did not. All right, I do not have a seconder for that. Okay, no seconder for that. Well, we can't bring that motion forward. And we're back on the main motion. It's the staff recommendation. There's several parts to it. If you update your eScribe, you will see it there. I can also read it back if you'd like, Counselor. Counselor McAllister.
Thank you, and through you, because we already had a discussion on this before it was moved. My understanding, which Mr. Felberg said earlier, he has the delegated authority to make minor changes. Anything major would still have to come back to us for a decision. So that is why I don't think we need further direction on this, because I think it's already in there.
Thank you, Counselor. I do believe that this recommendation also includes staff to be able to add additional incentives for the 45,000 per unit ad hoc as they come through. So I'm getting some nods from staff in the back. Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Counselor. All right, we're on the main motion. I'll go back to Counselor Trosso.
Question for staff, very, very simply. Do you feel, based on this main motion, that you will be able to have the necessary conversation with the applicant here and try to, within reason, work out their concerns?
Thank you, Counselor. I will go to Mr. Mathers.
Through the chair, I feel that this does capture it. And of course, we don't know what those concerns are right now. And if it is something that's really significant, then we need to bring that back to council. So you have we're very committed to try to bring forward this project. So of course, we will work with the applicant moving forward.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. That is very helpful, and I'll support this motion, although I think it would have been a lot cleaner to do it the other way. But here we are at 3:18. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Looking to members of committee first. Okay, visiting members. Counselor Stevenson.
Thank you. I just had some questions on the process and and some of these projects. So in this report, it says that on page 25, that these projects were awarded at the January council meeting. I couldn't find them, and staff was able to get back to me and let me know that it came through a strong mayor bylaw, of which there was no report, and that it is now that we're approving these projects. But when I look in the recommendation, it doesn't, I guess I want to know, is council actually approving these or these specific projects, or have they already been approved and we're just being informed of them?
Thank you, Counselor. I'll go to Mr. Felberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So in the bylaw, we brought two bylaws to that January 21st council meeting. In the bylaw, there is language that said that the award is contingent on entering into a contribution agreement. What that award or what that notification did at that the January council meeting was it allowed us to provide or signal a commitment that the municipality is supporting the project, which is one of the key pillars or one of the key points in the process for one of these developers when they're working with CMHC. CMHC wants to see that the city is committed to the project. We're working with them. We're trying to support them in advancing it. So at this point, what we're doing today is we're approving that template contribution agreement that allows us to enter into the provisions that we need to retain in order to protect our interests on the project. But we're also approving the source of financing for it as well, which is the funding coming out of the roadmap, and in order to actually provide the grant or the forgivable loan to the different proponents.
Thank you. Councilor.
Thank you. So I guess as we go forward building highly supportive housing units, what I'm wondering is it just going to happen and it's not going to be coming forward to council in terms of the location and the project for our approval, that's all been delegated once we approve this template?
Thank you. Mr. Felber.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. When it comes to highly supportive housing, we actually have a CIP that's specific to that, and that was the CIP that was approved in late January, early February of this year. It's actually the highly supportive housing CIP, and with that program, we have some funds that we can attribute to that particular type of development. When it comes to the specific location, the proponents come forward with a location of their choosing or where they've identified. They'll go through a planning and a development process where they'll go through rezoning if it's necessary. They'll go through site plan, go through building permit. That's the opportunity for folks to participate in the process. If the zone exists today when they purchase the property, for all intents and purposes, that proponent could come forward and do their development after they've gone through the site plan and the building permit process. That effectively is how the public would get involved in the process, is really if that rezoning is established. But the tenant selection and the operations of that building, as long as it meets the residential, that is something that the proponent can do, and they can do that independently of council in the city.
Thank you. Councilor.
Thank you. That clarity helps. In terms of the 644, 646 Huron Street location, I mean, it says right in here that it's 60% of average market rent, designed specifically for individuals facing mental health and addiction challenges. So for the public who's following what happened at 122 Baseline, there could be some concern, and I get that I guess what I'm getting at is, how are we as counselors and the public going forward going to find out we're sort of in a funny spot because we've got a report saying that there's going to be an announcement, and then we've got another report that, you know, gives us this information. I'm going to move to a different one. 430 William Street. There's 13 affordable units there. That's already an apartment building. So is this an expansion onto the building where there'll actually be new units, or is this a renovation?
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Felber.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So it's actually an addition. They're renovating the property to add those 13 additional units. These units won't be, the rest of the building, I believe, is social housing, which is our RGI property, but these will be new affordable units that those folks want to bring and add to their portfolio.
Thank you. Councilor.
And just to be clear, this is not the Arcade Cronin Warner building. This is the apartment building adjacent to. Okay, I see nodding, so thank you. I think my last question is just trying to understand what's happening here. When we look at, and I'll use for an example, the 644, 646 Huron Street, because it's in my ward, 60% of average market rent is what we're being told here, and that we're calling it affordable housing. Are we combining this with highly supportive housing? Like, are we seeing this in steps where it's here as affordable housing, saying it's gonna be 60% average market rent? If it were to become highly supportive housing, are we supplementing the difference from the 60% down to, in all likelihood, what they can afford, which would be closer to 30%? Is that coming through RGI?
Thank you. Mr. Falberg.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So one thing that's really important to note when it comes to supportive or highly supportive housing is that all of that housing is set at a rent that is affordable. But it doesn't mean that all affordable housing is necessarily supportive. So as in the example of 195 Dufferin, they're not providing supports on site or 24/7 supports for the individuals and the tenants that are living there. So when it comes to how they operate their particular building, so this one at Huron Street, they will, CMHA or the proponent will have their own funding in order to deal with the operations. And part of that funding will be to cover the rents of the individuals. The city isn't being asked to support any of the operations there. Our role in this is simply the capital. That's the $45,000 a unit that we are providing in order to get that building stood up, get those 80 some odd units constructed, and get people into those units.
Okay, thank you for that clarity. That's what I wanted to know.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, we're looking at committee. Visiting members already said they're good. Okay, that's it for the item. I got no more questions. Let's call the question.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 4-0.
That's it for items for direction. Next is deferred matters, additional business. I have none. So that means we are here for adjournment. So looking for a motion to adjourn, moved by Councilor McAllister, seconded by Councilor Pribble. This is a hand vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Visiting members? We're adjourned. Thank you.